Most people are chasing money their entire lives, running harder every year, thinking the next job, the next deal, or the next hustle will finally bring financial peace. But what if I told you that the greatest secret to overflowing finances is not outside of you at all? What if the real shift happens the moment your faith changes the way you think, speak, and expect prosperity in your life? Florence Scovel Shinn taught a powerful truth that still shocks people today. Money responds to belief. Not wishful thinking, not desperate hoping, but deep, unshakable faith that your supply is already prepared. The moment you stop living in fear of lack and start expecting abundance, something incredible begins to happen. Opportunities appear where there were none before. Florence Scovel Shinn taught something radically different, something that sounds simple but carries enormous power. Your financial overflow begins in your faith, in the quiet certainty that the divine supply already exists for you. Most people walk around with a mindset of lack. They wake up thinking, how am I going to make enough? What if I lose what I have? What if things don't work out? That kind of thinking closes the door on abundance before it even has a chance to knock. Faith, real faith, flips that script entirely. Faith says, my supply is already prepared. My prosperity is already arranged. I just have to align with it. Think about it like this. The universe, or what Florence called divine mind, responds to what you expect. Not what you beg for, not what you wish for, but what you actually expect deep down. If you expect struggle, life will keep sending situations that match that expectation. But when you begin expecting overflow, when you start walking like provision is already on the way, things start shifting in the most surprising ways. And here's the wild part. Abundance often shows up through doors you never planned. Someone calls with an opportunity. A new idea pops into your mind that suddenly works. A connection appears at the perfect moment. When your faith is aligned with prosperity, life starts lining up behind the scenes. It's like invisible gears begin turning for your benefit. Used to say that man must prepare for the thing he has asked for. In other words, if you're claiming financial overflow, you've got to act like it's already moving toward you. You don't carry the energy of panic. You don't live in constant worry. You move with calm confidence, like someone who knows the check is already in the mail. Now, I know some folks might be thinking, that sounds nice, but money doesn't just appear. And sure, faith doesn't mean sitting on the couch waiting for dollar bills to float through the window. What it means is aligning your mindset with the flow of prosperity so that when opportunities appear, and trust me, they will, you recognize them and move on them. Because here's something powerful. Fear blocks financial flow faster than almost anything. Fear makes people hold too tightly, hesitate too long, doubt every possibility. But faith creates openness. Faith says, I trust that the right ideas, the right people, and the right timing are lining up for me. And let me tell you something straight. Your words carry serious power. Florence talked about this all the time. The things you say about money shape your experience with money. If you're constantly saying, I'm broke, money is hard to get, or nothing ever works out for me, you're basically giving that story permission to keep repeating itself. Instead, begin declaring something different. Speak like someone who expects abundance. Say things like, money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. Say, my finances are increasing daily. Say, I live under grace, and my supply comes through channels I can't even imagine yet. When you speak like that with genuine belief, something shifts inside you. You stop vibrating with lack and start resonating with opportunity. Your mind becomes more creative, your decisions become more confident, and people begin responding to you differently. Prosperity is not just about numbers in a bank account. It's an energy. It's a frequency. And when you tune into that frequency with faith, life begins matching your signal. Think about the people who seem to attract opportunities everywhere they go. It's not always because they're the smartest in the room. Sometimes it's because they carry an inner expectation that things will work out for them. They walk with quiet assurance. That energy is magnetic. Florence believed that the divine plan for every person includes supply. Lack is not part of the original blueprint. When you align with faith, You align with that plan. You stop fighting life and start flowing with it. And let me be clear about something. Overflow doesn't always start big. Sometimes it begins with small but meaningful shifts. A new idea that saves you money. A side opportunity that grows faster than expected. A connection that leads to something way bigger down the road. But those little openings are signs that the flow has begun. The key is not to shut the door with doubt. Don't second-guess every blessing. Don't question whether you deserve prosperity. You do. The universe is not stingy. Divine supply is not limited. There is more than enough to go around. When you truly understand that, you stop living like you're fighting for scraps. You start living like someone who knows their table is already prepared. And that confidence changes everything. It affects how you think, how you speak, how you act. It affects the opportunities you notice and the risks you're willing to take. Faith transforms your entire relationship with money. So here's the simple but powerful truth. Prosperity responds to belief backed by expectation. When you hold the vision of overflowing finances with unwavering faith, life begins organizing itself around that vision. Doors open. Ideas appear, resources show up, and suddenly you realize something incredible. Prosperity was never as far away as you thought. It was waiting for you to claim it with faith, speak it with confidence, and walk toward it like it already belonged to you. Most people move through life expecting financial struggle, and without even realizing it, that expectation quietly shapes their entire experience with money. They wake up already thinking about bills, worrying about whether there will be enough, and imagining every possible thing that could go wrong. That mental habit becomes so normal that it feels realistic, even responsible. But Florence Scovel Shinn often explained that what we consistently expect has a strange way of becoming our reality. When the mind is fixed on lack, it begins to notice only the evidence of lack. Opportunities pass by unnoticed, ideas are dismissed before they are even tried, and fear begins to guide decisions. It is like walking through a room full of open doors, but refusing to see them because you are convinced every door must be locked. Faith changes that entire inner atmosphere. Instead of expecting struggle, you begin to expect provision. Instead of assuming money will always be tight, you begin to believe that supply is already arranged somewhere ahead of you. This shift may seem small at first, but it is powerful. Expectation creates a kind of magnetic signal in the mind. When someone expects overflow, they begin to carry themselves differently. Their energy is calmer, their thinking becomes more creative, and their attention becomes sharper. Suddenly, they start noticing possibilities they once ignored. A simple conversation turns into a business idea. A casual connection becomes a partnership. An opportunity that once felt risky now feels like a doorway worth stepping through. The interesting thing about faith-based expectation is that it does not come from forcing positive thoughts all day long. It comes from a deeper trust that the universe, or what Florence called the divine mind, has already prepared supply for every individual. In that perspective, money is not something you must desperately chase. It is something that flows when your thinking aligns with abundance. When someone begins to expect financial overflow, they stop reacting to life with constant panic. They do not feel the need to grab every small opportunity out of fear that nothing else will come. Instead, they move with a sense of quiet confidence, trusting that more is always unfolding. That calm expectation has a surprising effect on the way other people respond as well. Confidence attracts attention. People are naturally drawn to individuals who seem steady and certain rather than anxious and desperate. When someone expects prosperity, they project a sense of stability that makes others more willing to collaborate, invest, or share opportunities with them. In everyday life, this change shows up in simple ways. Someone who once believed money was always scarce might suddenly start seeing possibilities for additional income. Maybe they recognize a skill they could turn into a side project. Maybe they notice a gap in the market that others overlooked. Maybe they decide to finally pursue an idea they had been postponing for years because they assumed it would fail. Expectation acts like a filter for the mind, highlighting possibilities that match your belief. Florence often suggested that if you desire prosperity, you must prepare for it in thought and attitude. Preparation does not always mean physical action at first. It means adjusting your inner dialogue so that your mind becomes comfortable with the idea of abundance. Instead of automatically assuming the worst outcome, you begin to assume the best. Instead of thinking, "This will probably not work," you allow yourself to think, "This might be exactly the opportunity meant for me." Over time, this habit transforms the way you interpret every situation. Challenges no longer appear as permanent barriers, but as temporary steps towards something larger. When an opportunity fails, you do not immediately conclude that prosperity is impossible for you. Instead, you remain confident that another path is already forming. This kind of faith creates resilience, and resilience is a powerful advantage in financial growth. The people who eventually succeed are rarely the ones who never encounter setbacks. They are the ones who refuse to let setbacks change their expectation of success. They keep moving forward with the quiet belief that things will work out in their favor. That belief keeps their mind open and their actions consistent. Another important part of expecting financial overflow is letting go of the belief that there is never enough to go around. Many people unconsciously think of wealth as a limited pie where someone else's success means less for them. That belief creates jealousy, comparison, and insecurity. But when you begin to expect abundance, you understand that prosperity expands rather than shrinks. One person's success does not reduce your chances. In fact, it often creates new possibilities. When people around you grow financially, they open new markets, new partnerships, and new ideas that others can participate in. Expecting overflow also changes the emotional relationship with money. Instead of treating money as something stressful and unpredictable, you begin to treat it as a natural flow in life, much like opportunities, friendships, or creativity. When money arrives, you receive it with gratitude rather than surprise. When money leaves for expenses or investments, you release it with trust rather than fear. This relaxed relationship keeps your mind balanced, preventing the emotional highs and lows that often lead people to make poor financial decisions. Over time, the expectation of prosperity becomes a stable mindset rather than a temporary motivational idea. It becomes the way you naturally see the world. You begin to assume that good things are developing even when you cannot yet see them. That assumption keeps your mind clear, your energy steady, and your actions purposeful. In that state, life often begins to deliver results that seem almost surprising. Opportunities appear through unexpected conversations, creative ideas emerge during ordinary moments, and financial progress begins to build step by step. Looking back, you realize that the shift started the moment you stopped expecting lack and started expecting overflow. The external world slowly rearranged itself to match that new belief, proving that the expectations you hold inside your mind have far more influence over your financial life than you may have ever imagined. Words are far more powerful than most people realize, especially when it comes to money and prosperity. Every day, people speak about their finances without thinking twice, casually repeating phrases like, "I'm always broke," "Money disappears as soon as I get it," or "It's impossible to get ahead these days." Those statements may seem harmless, almost like everyday slang people use to vent their frustrations, but according to the principles Florence Scovel Shinn often taught, words are not empty sounds. They are creative forces that shape the direction of your life. When someone constantly speaks about lack, their mind begins to accept that lack as the normal story of their life. The brain starts looking for proof that supports those words. If you repeatedly say that money is hard to get, you begin noticing only the difficulties around earning it. Opportunities feel risky, ideas feel unrealistic, and financial growth starts to seem out of reach. Over time, the words become beliefs, and the beliefs quietly influence every decision you make. But when someone begins speaking words of abundance instead, something remarkable begins to happen. The inner atmosphere of the mind changes. Instead of reinforcing limitation, your words start reinforcing possibility. Florence believed that when you speak with conviction, you impress the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind works like a powerful engine that moves you toward the conditions that match your statements. In simple terms, the words you consistently speak become instructions to your inner mind about what kind of reality you expect to live in. That is why speaking abundance is not just about pretending things are perfect when they are not. It is about choosing language that points your life toward expansion rather than contraction. Imagine waking up each day and replacing the usual complaints about money with statements like, "Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways," or "My financial situation improves every day," or "Opportunities for wealth are constantly finding me." At first, those statements might feel strange because they challenge old habits of thinking. The mind may resist, whispering doubts like, "That's not true yet." But Florence often emphasized that the purpose of affirmations is not to describe the present situation, it is to shape the future one. When you speak abundance regularly, you begin planting seeds in the subconscious mind. Those seeds influence your emotions, your creativity, and the actions you take in everyday situations. Gradually, you start noticing subtle changes in your thinking. Ideas come more easily, confidence increases, and you feel less intimidated by financial decisions. Speaking abundance also changes the emotional energy surrounding money. When people constantly complain about finances, they create a heavy emotional atmosphere filled with frustration and stress. That tension can cloud judgment and make even small financial challenges feel overwhelming. But when someone begins declaring prosperity with calm confidence, the emotional tone shifts from fear to expectation. That shift can be incredibly freeing. Instead of feeling trapped by circumstances, you begin to feel like life is still full of possibilities waiting to unfold. Another powerful effect of speaking abundance is that it changes the way you present yourself to the world. People naturally respond to the energy behind your words. Someone who constantly talks about financial problems may unintentionally signal insecurity, while someone who speaks with confidence about growth and opportunity often appears more capable and trustworthy. This difference can influence how others interact with you in professional and personal situations. Business partners, employers, and collaborators are more likely to support individuals who demonstrate belief in their own progress. Your words become a subtle advertisement for the mindset you carry. Florence also taught that spoken words have a way of echoing back into your life through circumstances. When you repeatedly declare that money comes easily and opportunities appear regularly, your mind begins to align with that expectation. You become more aware of possibilities around you, more willing to take thoughtful risks, and more prepared to recognize opportunities when they arrive. It is almost like adjusting the frequency on a radio. The stations were always broadcasting, but you could not hear them clearly until you tuned into the right signal. Speaking abundance tunes your mind to the signal of prosperity. Over time, this practice becomes less about repeating affirmations and more about developing a natural language of confidence and gratitude. Instead of reacting to financial situations with panic, you learn to respond with steady assurance that solutions will appear. When an expense arises, you might say, "The supply for this is already on its way." When a new opportunity presents itself, you might say, "This could open doors I haven't even imagined yet." These statements keep your mind focused on expansion rather than limitation. It is also important to speak about money with respect rather than resentment. Some people unconsciously criticize wealth or assume that having more money must involve greed or dishonesty. Those attitudes create an inner conflict where a person desires prosperity but also feels uncomfortable with it. Florence believed that harmony between desire and belief is essential. When you speak positively about wealth and recognize it as a useful tool that can create security, generosity, and freedom, your mind becomes more willing to accept it into your life. Gratitude plays a major role in this process as well. When people acknowledge the money they already have, no matter how small it seems, they reinforce the idea that supply is present and growing. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is missing to what is already working. That shift naturally encourages a sense of confidence and appreciation that supports further growth. Over time, the combination of gratitude and positive declaration forms a powerful mental habit. Instead of automatically speaking words of limitation, you instinctively choose words that reflect possibility and progress. The transformation may seem gradual, but its effects can be significant. As your language changes, your thinking changes. As your thinking changes, your actions change. And as your actions change, the results in your financial life begin to change as well. Looking back, you may realize that prosperity did not arrive through one dramatic moment, but through many small shifts in how you spoke and thought about money each day. By choosing words that affirm abundance, you train your mind to expect growth, and that expectation quietly guides you toward the opportunities, ideas, and decisions that turn those spoken words into lived reality. Faith is not just a quiet belief you hold in your mind. It shows up in the way you move through life, the way you make decisions, and the way you respond when situations seem uncertain. Many people say they believe prosperity is possible for them, but their actions are still guided by hesitation and fear. They second-guess every opportunity, worry about every possible failure, and wait endlessly for the perfect moment that never seems to arrive. Florence Scovel Shinn often emphasized that true faith expresses itself through confidence and trust. It is not loud or arrogant. It is calm, steady, and certain that the right outcomes are unfolding even when the path ahead is not fully visible. Acting with confidence does not mean pretending to know every detail about the future. It means trusting that the divine intelligence guiding your life is arranging the right connections, ideas, and timing for your prosperity. When someone operates from this kind of faith, their entire approach to opportunities changes. Instead of shrinking back from possibilities because of fear, they step forward with a sense of curiosity and courage. They understand that every opportunity does not need to be perfect in order to be worthwhile. Sometimes the smallest action taken with confidence leads to unexpected breakthroughs. Confidence, fueled by faith, creates momentum, and momentum often opens doors that hesitation keeps closed. When a person believes their financial increase is already part of their divine plan, they stop waiting for external approval before taking action. They begin trusting their instincts and creative ideas more. For example, someone may have a business idea they have been thinking about for months or even years, but fear keeps whispering, "What if it fails?" Faith replaces that fear with a different inner message. What if this idea is exactly the opportunity meant for me? That shift in thinking may seem simple, but it changes everything. Instead of remaining stuck in endless planning, the person finally begins taking steps forward, learning as they go, and allowing progress to develop naturally. Acting with confidence also affects the way you handle challenges. Every path toward prosperity includes moments of uncertainty, setbacks, or delays. Without faith, those moments can feel like proof that success is impossible. People who rely only on circumstances for reassurance often give up quickly when things do not move smoothly. But when someone trusts that their supply is already arranged, they interpret challenges differently. Instead of seeing obstacles as permanent barriers, they see them as temporary detours or lessons guiding them toward a better solution. This perspective creates resilience. Resilience allows a person to keep moving forward even when the results are not immediate. It is this steady persistence that often separates those who eventually succeed from those who stop trying too soon. Confidence grounded in faith also changes the energy you bring into conversations and opportunities. When people approach others with fear or desperation, it is usually easy to sense. Desperation can create tension in negotiations, job interviews, or business discussions because it signals insecurity. On the other hand, someone who believes opportunities are always available carries a different presence. They appear calm, prepared, and focused rather than anxious. This presence often makes others feel more comfortable working with them. Confidence becomes a quiet form of communication that tells the world you trust your own path. Another important aspect of acting with faith is learning to trust the timing of events. Many people become discouraged because they expect results to appear immediately after taking action. When progress takes longer than expected, doubt begins to creep in. Florence often taught that divine timing operates differently from human impatience. The right opportunities sometimes require preparation, both internally and externally. You may need to develop certain skills, meet certain people, or gain certain experiences before a larger opportunity can fully unfold. Faith allows you to remain patient during these periods without losing motivation. Instead of assuming that nothing is happening, you trust that important pieces are quietly falling into place behind the scenes. Acting with confidence also encourages creativity, which is one of the most powerful tools in financial growth. When the mind is relaxed and trusting, it becomes more open to new ideas. Creative solutions often appear during moments of calm reflection rather than during periods of intense stress. Faith reduces the mental pressure that blocks creativity, allowing inspiration to surface naturally. A simple idea that emerges during a walk, a conversation, or a moment of quiet thinking can later develop into a profitable project or opportunity. Many successful ventures begin with small sparks of inspiration that are followed by confident action. Without the willingness to act, even the best ideas remain unrealized possibilities. Trust also helps you make wiser decisions about which opportunities to pursue. Confidence does not mean saying yes to everything. Instead, it involves listening carefully to your intuition and recognizing which paths align with your goals and values. Faith sharpens that inner guidance because your mind is not overwhelmed by fear. You are able to evaluate situations calmly and decide whether an opportunity feels right for you. Sometimes the most confident decision is moving forward boldly, and other times it is walking away from something that does not align with your long-term vision. Both choices require trust in your ability to attract better opportunities in the future. Over time, acting with confidence becomes a natural habit rather than a forced effort. Each positive experience reinforces your belief that faith leads to progress. Small successes build momentum, and momentum strengthens confidence even further. You begin to notice that the more you trust your path and take action, the more life seems to respond with new possibilities. Conversations lead to introductions, ideas lead to partnerships, and simple steps lead to meaningful results. This cycle of belief and action creates a powerful rhythm of growth. Looking back, you may realize that prosperity did not arrive because you waited for perfect certainty. It arrived because you trusted enough to keep moving forward. By acting with calm confidence and trusting that your financial opportunities are already being arranged, you allow faith to guide your actions. That combination of belief and movement gradually transforms possibilities into real achievements, showing that confidence grounded in trust is one of the most powerful forces in creating financial success. Many people believe money can only come from one predictable source, usually a job, a salary, or a single business channel. They build their entire sense of financial security around that one path. While there is nothing wrong with earning money through traditional means, limiting your expectations to only one channel can quietly restrict the flow of prosperity in your life. Florence Scovel Shinn often emphasized that divine supply does not operate through just one doorway. When someone aligns their thinking with abundance and faith, financial opportunities can appear through channels they never planned or even imagined. The problem is that many people close themselves off to these possibilities because they are too focused on how they think money should arrive. They imagine a very specific path, and if life does not follow that exact route, they assume nothing is happening. But when you stay open to unexpected channels, you begin to see that prosperity has countless ways of reaching you. Sometimes the opportunity shows up through a casual conversation with someone you did not expect to meet. Sometimes it comes through a new idea that suddenly feels exciting and worth exploring. Other times it arrives through a skill you already possess, but never thought could generate income. Faith allows you to remain open enough to recognize these possibilities when they appear. Without that openness, opportunities can pass right by unnoticed because they do not look exactly like what you were expecting. Being open to unexpected channels also means letting go of rigid thinking about how success must happen. Many people believe there is only one correct timeline or one perfect strategy for achieving financial growth. When reality unfolds differently, they feel discouraged and assume they are on the wrong path.